lift struts. This panel here is for the access to the Chevrolet distributor. It has a Porsche style spare. Here's a view of the inside of the truck's panels. Pretty clean. Not the best finish in here, but then again it is the trunk. No signs of extensive corrosion. There are some scrapes and scratches in here. Oh, and these are some of the mounting points for the rear sway bar, and I believe the 930 adapter bracket for the transmission. There's no jack with the car. Shuts well. You can see the doors are pretty nice. You can tell they did a complete color change when they painted the doors off the car, because the bolts are not painted. Some of them have traces of the red paint from the original color. I found out that the mats carpeting is glued down and there's some insulators underneath. The passenger side I got loose, and I'll pull that up for you in a minute. There are some flaws in the interior. I don't know if you can see it. There's a scrape mark behind the driver's headrest and a little tear in the seat area. There's a tear near the rear engine pull in the material. Not too bad. Something you could deal with later. The car is not a trailer queen. It wasn't an attempt to do a complete restoration. These are the custom gauges installed. Typical setup, all VDO, very traditional. The clock does work, but I found that the reset knob does not engage. That silver button is for the electric windshield washers, which it doesn't have the air-powered ones anymore. The green lamp is for the electric cooling fans to indicate they're on, and there is a glaring heater assembly here on the right side. My father was in his 80s and he got cold more than he got hot, and he wanted heat in this car. So we took a hot rod style heating system and installed it, ducted it into the defroster vents, and it works fine. It's a little awkward, but it's functional. There's no AC. The vent system is not quite right. The restoration redo in the past, they messed up the control cables on the fresh air vents. Could be fixed. Take a little fiddling. Interior's pretty nice shape. Sun visors, I believe, are original and not tore up. Could be aftermarket, but I don't know that well on these. But overall, not too bad. At least they're there and they're not split and tore up. Interior light does work. Oh yeah, there it goes. Let's get under the hood here. Oh yeah. Speedometer is an electronic 911 style. And there is an issue with that. It does not register miles per hour very well, although the odometer seems to work. Tachometer has been converted to read the Chevy motor, so that's okay. Stock fuel gauge. Has 911 style wheels all the way around. 911 brakes, front and rear. Here we go. Nicely finished in the trunk area, or front area. Pretty common setup here. Has a competition style pump, which is a bit noisy. Would not have been my choice, but it's there and it works fine. Has an external fuel filter, high flow setup. twin fan radiator with a custom duct into the fiberglass front nose. Pretty well done. And here you can see under the adjustment plates some of the original color. Actually, it's quite pretty red, but he wanted a Ferrari yellow car, and so that's what it is. It's genuine Ferrari yellow. I think it's a 102 is the paint number. It's a pretty car. Let's take a look at the business end. Hang on. Okay, here's the little bad boy. Stock Z4 crate motor. Polycarb, I believe. You can see the engine compartment was well finished. It's got dirt in it, yes, and it's not been detailed because it's a real car you can drive. Rain shield had to leave. It's not really a car you'd probably drive in the wet a lot. Has a fuel regulator and fuel pressure gauge. That is the belt-driven water pump in this model. You can see they have refinished all the inside of the engine compartment. Looks like a new battery tray was installed. I'm going to try to drop the camera down into the area that people always worry about. I don't know if it's going to fit. Bear with me. So, I don't know what you're seeing because I can't see anything with the viewfinder right now. So, but it's not a rust bucket. That ball valve is for the heater control. Pretty standard V8 conversion style setup. Just done pretty nicely. I think that's good. Wheels were not restored. They could use some restoration. They're not perfect. No real curb rash, but scratches and dings in them. You can see possibly, no you can't, there's a Willward parking brake caliper instead of the stock 914 style, and it has 911 rear brakes of some vintage. I do not know what year. It stops fine. Notice the front marker lights were retained to retain the stock look, kind of a sleeper idea. European style turn lenses. I don't think it has European sockets. Now I do not have access to lift. I have taken some underbody pictures, but they may not come out too well. Oh yes, it does have a 930 4-speed. Special bracketry adapter, I believe they ordered from Rod Simpson's. There you can see, I hope, the 930 tranny in all its glory. Nice polished mufflers, not that you can really see them. It has little stain coilovers. Don't know what the shock, what the spring rating is. I think it's a little soft after driving it, but you know, everyone's got their own preference. The 930 tranny is currently cable operated. I know they make hydraulic conversions. It was flipped over and modified at a fairly high cost. That's part of the bracket. You can see the finish in the engine compartment from here. Heavy duty CV joints. And rear sway bar here. I don't know how much you'll see of that. Tires are fairly unworn, but they're very old. So, and I don't think they're V-rated. So I'd be a little cautious about testing the limits of this car. And there you can see the wheelward caliper, the parking brake assembly. They rattle a little bit on certain bumps. The shift linkage is basically stock, 914 from here forward. It's a little clunky. It's kind of a home-brewed setup. It does work, but it's not very precise. But then it's a 914, so we can't expect a whole lot. Now, I did discover that there are no jack posts. So I do not know what shape underneath the car is in this area, and because of the way these panels were installed, I am not going to take them off. But I have reached in there and I don't feel anything bad. It looks pretty good. The car was completely stripped down. Supposedly all rust was removed, treated and whatnot, and it was done at a fairly good shop back in the 90s. I did find over the years though, because remember it was 20 years ago, there is an area of a little rust bubbling right here at the bottom of the front fenders on both sides. I think you can see that. I hope you can. But pretty minor, and considering it's not a restoration project and it's something to be enjoyed, I don't think it's a real issue. Same on this side. A little bit here. And you can see possibly a little bubble here. I will open the door so you can check the door bottoms out. Edges are done. You can see it's... I see possibly a little rust staining along the seams, but you know, like I said, it's not a rust bucket. And you don't take a pristine, perfect 914 and do this to it. Now, oh yes, I think I see a little bit of an owie in here, and possibly here. But I believe the car is basically sound. I don't think anybody has any great worries. I'm sure this is a car that should be just bought and enjoyed, not something to restore or turn into some show car. We'll have a driving video here in a moment, I hope.